The opinions expressed in this show are the views of the host and not necessarily that of WTRW, 94.3 The Talker, or the Bold Gold Media Group.
The following presentation is paid for by Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate, who is solely responsible for its content. Portions transcribed.
All Century 21 real estate offices are independently owned and operated.
This is the Real Estate Roundtable with Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate. Good morning. I'm Jackie Ruddy, broker. And with Pat Devaney, my husband, fellow realtor.
Good morning, Jackie. How are you today?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
Good, thank you.
We are here with the Grebs again, Brian and Ryan Greb of Greb Insurance Agency. Good morning, gentlemen. Thanks for being here with us again.
Good morning.
We're here every Saturday at 11 a.m., Sunday at 11:30 a.m., where we review many real estate topics. We have a full-time real estate office with many exceptional realtors who've been guiding, assisting, and advising clients in real estate matters for 50-plus years.
During the week, feel free to email us with any questions you have at questions@jruddy.com. That's questions@jruddy.com. Or you can give us a call at 570-344-6724. We do answer the phone. And when you visit jruddy.com, don't forget to hit the webcam tab. And we have a webcam on the building facing the corners. And we get all kinds of interesting things on that. And we get thousands of hits a month.
View our listings, search the MLS listings, and listen to archive radio shows by going to mobile-friendly jruddy.com, where we also have all the podcast apps that we feature our radio show on. And don't forget about social media. We're pretty much everywhere. But, Pat, you just brought up a nice point. Greb Insurance Agency, who was here last week, talked about the best way to get in touch with them is by phone. And the best way to get in touch with Century 21 Jack Ruddy is by phone. But there's a lot of real estate offices and a lot of realtors that are not available by phone.
You know what I like? It's like when I call a place, there's nothing more that I like than to go to voicemail. That's what I like, As soon as I say, leave your name and number, click.
It's 20 minutes before you're connected to a live human being. I mean, time is money.
Absolutely.
And it's so frustrating.
What is the most valuable thing I have is my time. I don't know how much I have left, and I'm not going to waste it I wasted enough places.
Right. Okay, so we answer the phones, too, at Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate. I'm just putting that out there. That's why we are a Quality Service Award-winning office. That's the Century 21 award that we receive year after year. So communication, that's the number one gripe people have with the world these days, and for realtors, for sure. Okay, Brian and Ryan Greb, that's the end of my rant. How are you guys today?
Doing well. How are you?
Great. We're talking about homeowners insurance. And last week we spent a good amount of time on that. We're going to continue with this discussion today because there's so much that we did not cover. And, last week we were talking about the many things that could impact insurance and insurance policies and premiums, so on and so forth. What about generators? Do they have an effect on insurance policies? If I have a generator, does that help me reduce my premium?
We have nothing for the companies that we sell for that change the premium as far as a discount for the generator. Depending on the cost of the generator, you might want to check, or you do want to check with your agent to make sure that that's covered. But it's permanently attached equipment. It should be covered as any other mechanical
which you are now offering. We talked about that last week. You talked about equipment breakdown insurance, which is now offered as an additional item on an insurance policy, correct?
That's right. Yeah, you can now get the coverage for just something wear and tear, something getting old and not working anymore.
And you guys also have the sewer and water line insurance. Now, my insurance guy says I should bundle it with my homeowner's insurance because it's so much cheaper than getting it elsewhere.
Right. So we found that a lot talking to our customers, too, that if you have to buy it from the sewer and the water and the gas from all the utility companies, that buying it through us is much cheaper. And one thing, or the biggest thing to note about how Erie would pay for a claim is once they realize that there is, let's say, a break in the sewer line and it needs to be replaced. They don't just go in and make a repair to the line. They'll go in and they dig it up, they connect you out at the street, and they run a whole new line right into your house. So for Erie side, so that there's not another claim that they have to dig up somebody's yard again quickly. So they, again, where you might have a utility company that just comes in and makes a repair to the pipe and sends you on your way. That's not how Erie does it.
All right. So you get line replacement.
Correct. Right.
All
They
right.
replace the line.
All right. Good. I was going to ask that question. So there's a lot of properties out there that are not occupied. What is Erie's position on those? Whether it's, a home that the owner passed away or they moved out of town, it's vacant. Do you drop insurance? Does it change? Do the rates change? Does the policy change? How is someone affected by that?
If a property that, let's say we had it insured and the policyholder passes, then it simply just providing the proper policy. A home protector policy is an owner-occupied form. So if someone were to pass or someone moved, a different type of policy would be necessary for that property.
Okay. Is there a time frame on that property to relinquish it, to sell it, to have somebody else occupy it, or is it open-ended?
Normally, you would want to take care of that before the end of that policy period.
Okay. All right.
Jackie, one thing about the unoccupied and vacant, and we just, with that cold snap where we had minus 20-degree weather, if you have a house that is vacant or unoccupied, like a seasonal, that you might not be at all the time, you have to make sure that you keep heating it or that you winterize the pipes, because that's the one big exclusion to a vacant or unoccupied house is that if you let the pipes freeze, there's not going to be coverage for that unless you take the measures, again, to maintain heat or winterize it. So that's a big thing on the unoccupied houses.
All right. Have rates gone up? Everything in life has gone up. Everything we're looking at, wherever we go, we're paying more for. How has this affected the insurance world?
Rates have increased, absolutely. And anytime with an insurance company, their expenses, their claims, things of that nature certainly drive rates. So with the increase in expenses, with the increase in claims, then you're going to find rates increasing for any type of policy, home protectors, autos, whatever the case might be.
So when people want to shave expenses, should they be looking at their insurance policy and dropping or rolling back? How do you advise people these days? Because the cost to replace something these days is tremendous, with the labor costs, material costs, et cetera. If people want to hit their policies to try to save money, what do you suggest?
The dilemma today is that materials and labor have increased so much in the past few years that rolling back a dwelling value on a home protector policy it isn't suggested to maintain your replacement value. The other side of that is if you're going to change a home protector, reduce a home protector value, how much are you saving? If you're going to save $100 by changing the dwelling value, I don't feel it's worth it. So in my opinion, today, it's not a good value to roll back coverages under your home protector policy.
Now, say we were talking about vacant homes. Say I have my parents' home now. My parents have passed away or whatever, and the home is, it's still in my parents' name. And now I decide I want to rent it out. What do I have to do insurance-wise for a property like that?
Same thing as when it went from a homeowners to a vacant policy. Anytime there's a change in the occupancy, you have to let your agent know that this is what you're going to do. You're going to be renting it, and they will sell the right type of policy. They'll sell you a landlord's policy. Those policies usually don't come with any personal property coverage. So The cost is usually about the same. Again, you don't get that personal property coverage, but it's not much more than a homeowner's policy. But you just have to let your agent know that there's been a change.
Well, what about if I own that property and the furnishings are mine?
You can add the property coverage to it. So if you have the appliances, maybe you keep your lawnmower there so you can go and cut the grass. You don't have to lug it there with you. You can choose how much you want. But if you don't have anything there, you could choose to eliminate that coverage on a landlord's policy.
Very good. Can someone be overinsured?
That's a tough question because of the type of claims that we see. Could you be overinsured? I don't think so. Could you have too much coverage on your house? If you insure a $250,000 house for $500,000, you're not going to get paid the $500,000. They're going to say your house is worth $250,000, and that's what they're going to pay you. On the liability side of things, you could never have too much coverage. You could increase the limit on your homeowners. We always suggest an umbrella or a PCL policy to accompany that. But no, on the liability side, you definitely cannot be overinsured.
So in the insurance world, you guys use the word umbrella, blanket, and maybe there's some other words that I'm missing, but there's differences. Can you explain those?
Well, they're sometimes called personal catastrophe policies, umbrella policies. Blanket's a little bit different term from those. Blanket would be for like jewelry. If you didn't want to list every item, you could blanket the jewelry. But on the umbrella side of things, that's an excess liability policy. So if your auto or homeowner's policy, the claim against you was big enough that it exhausted that liability limit, you can then have a policy that would pick up after that. And that's what's normally called an umbrella policy.
I was told a long time ago, say I have a house and I have all of this expensive furniture, I have trains, I have this, I have that. Is it a good, how do I document what I have inside the house? Am I supposed to take pictures of everything? Am I supposed to video it? What's the deal? How do I cover myself?
General contents isn't required to schedule, but if you have collectible items, fine arts, antiques, things along those lines, then those items can be scheduled under the Home Protector policy. I don't mean that they're not covered. The concern is their value and or whether they can be replaced. So if you have an item that is one of a kind, at least then we're able to reimburse you for the value of that item.
Are you supposed to have a certificate or an appraisal to back up this item that you have?
The more documentation you have, the better.
Yeah.
And if you were going to add an item on separately to the policy, let's say an item of jewelry, you would need to have an appraiser for it, because then the intent would be that they're going to give you that money for it. The thing to remember is that the policy is intended to provide replacement cost. So you might have an antique item of furniture that's very valuable. The policy, though, is designed to get you a new item of furniture at today's prices, which you might or you're not going to want. The thing with sentimental value, that certainly can't be. That can't be.
The
replaced.
insurance world doesn't care about sentimental
Right.
value.
If it's your grandmother's chair,
right,
and it's valuable to you, that doesn't necessarily make it valuable for the insurance purposes.
Okay.
Another concern along those lines is the coverage of theft. Jewelry, furs, guns, watches, silverware, money are limited to a Home Protector policy. So if you were to have a fire or something along those lines, you're going to have coverage up to your limit of your personal property. But again, if it's purely a theft, burglary, robbery, or theft, there are internal limits in a Home Protector policy for those particular items that I mentioned. So scheduling things may be necessary. If you've got $3,000 for jewelry, you've got a $10,000 engagement ring, you need to schedule an item.
What do you mean scheduled? Scheduling means to, what does that mean?
Specifically listed on the policy for a value.
And back it up with an appraisal.
As Ryan mentioned, through an appraisal, some documentation that shows the value at the time of that particular item, such as your collectibles, your trains, things along those lines. There's always some place to find a valuation for a particular item.
These are great things to be discussed, because the only time anybody thinks about stuff like this is after the fact, is after a tragedy, is after something happens. The whole purpose of insurance is to be prepared for these things, so you're not left holding the bag.
True. Very true. Okay. How about mine subsidence insurance? I mean, that's something that in this area, it's very inexpensive, but I think it's well worth it.
Right. The mine subsidence, you're right, is extremely inexpensive. It's all sold through the state. At least for the companies that we have, they don't sell them on their policy. So you buy it through the DEP. It depends on what value for the house that you want. There's very little underwriting. You have to answer some questions about, has there been mine subsidence on the property before or neighboring properties? But they may send somebody out to make sure that there's not a hole in your yard right now. But other than that, it is just protection. If you live in Lackawanna, Luzerne counties, you're going to go onto their website, put your address in, and they're going to tell you if you should have it or not. But everybody in those areas they're going to suggest that you have it.
Right. Great stuff. Brian and Ryan Greb, father and son of Greb Insurance Agency. Where are you located, and how does someone get in touch with you, please?
We're right in West Scranton, 902 South Main Avenue, right near Kelly Volkswagen in West Side. And to get in touch with us, we still like to give us a call, 570-343-7898. Or if you prefer an email, you could use Greb, Grebbins, @comcast.net.
Thank you. Pat?
Yes, we have a 3-bedroom home. It's at 1 River Street in Archibald for only $159,000. This home, it's on a dead-end street, and the Lackawanna Heritage Trail, it actually runs right in front of this property. It's just steps away from the river. Actually, the river runs right behind this property. This would be a great starter home with low taxes of less than $1,000 a year. The inside of the home, it's in move-in condition. It's got new flooring, new paint, and new cabinets, and this home won't last long at this price. That's a 3-bedroom home just steps away from the Lackawanna River at 1 River Street in Archibald for $159,000. That's listed by Sam Shelter of our office.
It is time for me to say thank you to our sponsor today, Stephen Scott of House Standing Home Inspections. Don't take any chances on your home purchase. Before you move on to the next step of the home buying process, let House Standing Home Inspections take a look. Stephen will evaluate every detail of your home and provide you with fast, comprehensive report. House Standing Home Inspections offers structural, wood infestation, radon, mold, water, and septic inspections. Don't go it alone. For a quality inspection, call Stephen Scott of House Standing Home Inspections at 570-251-1052 or visit housestandinghomeinspections.com. Stay with the Real Estate Roundtable with Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate on 94.3 FM The Talker. In your past real estate experiences, did you find most agents were mediocre? At Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate, we defy mediocrity by being relentless. Don't settle for average. Contact the Relentless at Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate. We have an excellent track record of serving the community for 50 plus years. Call 570-344-6724 or visit jruddy.com. That's jruddy.com. Welcome back to the Real Estate Roundtable with Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate on 94.3 FM The Talker. I'm Jackie Ruddy, broker, and with my husband, fellow realtor Pat Devaney.
And we're back.
With the Greb's Insurance Agency, both Brian and Ryan Greb, father and son. So before the break, we were talking about a lot of times people are not prepared. They have insurance. They think they're covered. There's something that happens, whatever it is, fire, theft. They call you and they have a situation on their hands, and you have to tell them that maybe they're not covered for something that maybe they thought they were, or the facts of life. So What do you have to say about that, Brian?
Well, that's true. A home protector policy doesn't cover everything. There are certain exclusions, and again, we try to take every advantage to get printed information out to policyholders, whether that be through their auto policy or their home protector policy. Anytime we're sending out any information, even as simple as a replacement ID card for your vehicles, we include information along the lines of endorsements, optional coverages. We touched on umbrella liability policies, things along those lines.
Okay, that's good because not every company does that. So you try to educate your clients in these matters, and whether they read it or not is up to them. But it's good to be prepared. I'm sure you have a lot of horror stories. How about identity theft protection? Is that a thing? Is that on the rise? Is it on the decrease? What's going on in that?
Yeah, the identity theft coverage on a homeowner's policy, we see a lot more. We're adding it. A lot more people are asking for it. But what we sell people on is somebody might steal your credit card number and charge a few things on it. The credit card company normally takes care of it. They might get your account number and routing number and take some money out of your checking account. But it's also recovering your identity. So part of Erie's coverage that they sell is a team of people that will help you contact the credit bureaus, will help you get documents notarized to say that this wasn't you, so you can restore your credit back to the way it was before the identity theft happened. So there's more to it than just getting your actual money back.
Okay, so then when we have these big events that happen in life that affect everybody on the planet, like 9/11, after that we got terrorism insurance, and now the COVID, the coronavirus, the pandemic. People are working at home now these days. A lot more people are working remote. So is there insurance for that? Should they be looking at extras in their policy?
If you are strictly just yourself working from home, the only concern with that would be the amount of equipment, computer equipment, or any other items that are owned by your employer that you are now going to have at your house. So if that adds up to a significant value, you want to contact your agent to see if it's covered by your policy, because some business personal property of others could be covered on your homeowner's policy, and ask the person, your employer, if you are responsible for it. So if somebody breaks in and steals their computer, are you responsible to replace that or not? If you're working from home now and have a home office that somebody's visiting, normally that's not what people think of working from home. But if you have a beauty shop, an accounting office, you have something that you're doing out of your house now that you used to do elsewhere, you definitely need to let your agent know, because that type of exposure needs to be addressed on the policy.
Well, a lot of time, and then there's all these scammers these days, right? So one of the things that I had to do this year, every year I have to send in our policies, our errors and omissions, and our general liability policies to Century 21, and they have requirements of what I must have on my policy. And cybersecurity was something that they told us we had to have on our policies as of January 1st. Is that something that you're seeing also for businesses that they're adding these days, cybersecurity? Because that's an issue these days.
On the commercial side of things, it's probably the biggest issue right now. When we do a quote with Erie, it's such a big issue that Erie's cybersecurity suite, that's what they call their coverage, their bundle of coverage that they give, is automatically put on the quote for us. We don't have to choose it. We technically, if we don't want it, we have to eliminate it. But it's so important. It costs like $125, $150 a year, and it gives you so much coverage, whether you're locked out of your own computer by hackers, or you could be sued if you didn't take the necessary steps and your customer's personal information is stolen and they're affected by that. They could come back and hold you liable. So there's coverage for all of that. And that's mostly on the commercial end of things. Certainly you might not need that on just a regular homeowner's policy. But yes, it's probably one of the biggest concerns for businesses now.
Okay, and Brian's favorite topic, we'll close the show with flood insurance.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Always thinking about you. And so, what's going on in that world these days? Is flood insurance something that you gentlemen offer at Grev Insurance?
We do. Flood insurance is still offered by the NFIP, which would be the government portion of that coverages. You certainly are in a flood zone. Again, that coverage is available. There are companies that are now offering flood insurance, let's say, as an endorsement to your home protector policy. So it's much.
It's not
more
automatic in homeowners insurance.
No.
It's another insurance.
It's an endorsement or optional coverage that has to be purchased back.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So again, if you are in a flood zone, you have a concern, you've had flooding in the past, then these coverages, whether it's, again, the NFIP or a home protector policy, those coverages are available.
How do they determine? It's technology has changed so much with the insurance. It used to be you had to have a certificate of elevation. You'd have to have a surveyor go out and look at it. It's like that stuff is that's stuff for the dinosaurs, like something I would do.
All of that's already taken care of with the policies. When you go in to do a quote, that information automatically comes up. They've already got that in their systems, and you give an address, and they know exactly what flood zone or what rate is going to apply for that property.
Yeah, we used to have to take our little measuring wheel and go out to the corner of this intersection and say, okay, the corner of the house is 500 feet away from the intersection where the flood zone started. We used to have to do that. Now, and I know it's not Google Maps, but they have a program that looks like Google Maps that knows the elevation of the closest water source and knows the elevation of the lowest floor of your house fairly accurately, and that's what Erie's using now to come up with whether you're in a high flood zone or you're in a low flood zone. So yeah, there's a lot more technology with the flood policies now than there used to be.
Okay. Is there any possible way, what would you say for ways to get some policy discounts? What's your advice to anybody out there? Have all your insurance in one place? Does that help?
Right. Yeah, you definitely multi-policy discounts. So discounts for having your auto in your home and your umbrella policy. Even life insurance policies will give you a discount on your auto and homeowners policy. So those are good discounts. The claims-free discount is a big factor. Sometimes you can't help it. You have to turn in a claim. You have to, but you do get better rates for that. And then the smoke alarms, the alarm system, those types of things are all discounts on the homeowner's policy.
So keep
age of the dwelling
Okay.
is a discount on there too.
So keep maintaining your home, do improvements, and maybe get some things designed to prevent theft, water damage, fire damage, and
Right. The most you could do on your own to prevent those claims, the better off you'll be.
all right.
Any type of claim avoidance is going to keep your rates down.
Brian and Ryan Greb, father and son of Greb Insurance Agency. Where are you located, and how does someone get in touch with you, please?
We're right on Main Avenue in West Scranton. It's 902 South Main Avenue in West Side. And best way to get us is to call us on the phone, 570-343-7898. Or if you would rather send an email, certainly you can use GrebINS. So that's GREBBINS at Comcast.net.
Thank you, gentlemen, for 2 weeks in a row of your time. I appreciate it. Pat?
Yes, we have a meticulously maintained 4-bedroom, 3-bath home in the Abington Heights School District at 32 White Birch Lane in Dalton for $315,000. This great home, it has a large master bedroom with a full bath and walk-in closet. It also has hardwood and tile floors and a newer roof. This home also has a large heated sunroom, a fenced-in yard. It's got a beautiful in-ground pool and a pool house. There's also a built-in garage and a wood-burning stove in the lower level. That's a beautiful 4-bedroom, 3-bath home with a pool at 32 White Birch Lane in Dalton for $315,000, and that's listed by Stacy Granza of our office.
Thank you, Pat. And we'll be back next Saturday at 11 a.m., Sunday at 11:30 a.m. with more Real Estate Roundtable with Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate on 94.3 FM The Talker.